Hey everyone, how's it going? The Metroid Trainer here, and welcome back to another episode of Poketroid, a series of videos where we go through different creatures, monsters, and aliens from the Metroid series, and justify things like stats, abilities, evolutions, and so much more, as if these creatures could be Pokemon. I know, it's a bit of a niche topic, because Metroid and Pokemon don't really overlap naturally. You got cute, adorable creatures from one franchise, and gruesome, horrifying, alien-like monstrosities in the other franchise. The question is though, which one is which? But despite how niche that concept is, I'm happy to see so much support and appreciation in the comment section with these videos. So many of you guys have your own unique takes and ideas over previous creatures we've covered and what type of abilities and stats they'll have. And seeing so many people ask and recommend other creatures for this series, it makes me super happy to work on these videos because I know people out there do enjoy this. We've covered a wide variety of different creatures already: Kraid, Ridley, Crocomire, Phantoon, Dragon, Metroid, Zebesians, but it's time to talk about a boss that's more obscure and kind of forgotten in the franchise. The evolving grub itself, Kiru Giru, and see what kind of a Pokemon it can be. So as always, get your Pokedex ready because we're going to be logging in a whole new creature for this episode. And of course, let's get started. Kiru Giru is an insect-like creature found on the planet of Zebes in the Norfair region. We see multiple Kiru Girus throughout the area, and we see the species go through a metamorphic cycle, from a larval-like grub to a cocoon-like form to its final adult stage. These three stages would be the main evolutionary line for Kiru Giru. Wow, a three-stage bug-like Pokemon? Never seen that before. Well, to try to spice up the evolutionary cycle, I want to add a branched evolution for Kiru Giru. We see a Kiru Giru fall victim to some parasitic vines, and we see many instances in Pokemon where forms of parasitism / symbiosis are somehow connected to evolutions, as well as the infected Kiru Giru being able to defend itself. So it would work as its own Pokemon form. So, we have Kiru Giru, the larval Pokemon, as its first form. It would evolve into Pupa, the chrysalis Pokemon, at level 20. It would evolve again into its final form, Imalgo, the winged stinger Pokemon, at level 35. For the branched evolution, if Kiru Giru was in a party with a Carnivine, it would evolve into Pupacite, the tangled vine Pokemon. I'll elaborate a bit more on Pupacite's evolutionary requirements when we discuss miscellaneous info. Now to move on to the typing. Now the typing of Kiru Giru is pretty obvious. Yeah, bug type. I know, it's kind of shocking, right? The bug-like creature being a bug type, but if it works, it works. Kiru Giru and Pupa will both be pure bug types. When they reach the final stage of their evolution, Imalgo will gain the flying type to reflect its newly developed wings and flying abilities. For Pupacite though, it would be a grass bug type, obviously adding the grass type because of the parasitic vines embedded into the body, also making the grass type the primary type instead of the secondary type to show off how the vines are now in control of the body. But of course, the order of the typing is purely cosmetic. There's really no difference whatsoever when it comes to the weaknesses and stuff like that, but just for the aesthetic, making it grass type would reflect its parasitic nature, which is pretty cool. Now to move on to the moves. Now Kiru Giru's moves are pretty standard. Kiru Giru is seen charging towards Samus, so we can justify basic moves like tackle, takedown, headbutt, and slam, as well as more complex moves like double edge, bind, and iron head. Of course, some bug moves like first impression, lunge, U-turn, even dig to reflect the tunnel it dug up. Although Pupa's cocoon form kind of limits a lot of possible movement options and attacks, but some moves like harden, protect, iron defense, rest, and curse would work for Pupa. Also the obligatory string shot for cocoon Pokemon, and I guess I can see the bulky cocoon using moves like heavy slam and bulldozer, but when we reach the final evolution, Imalgo, that's when the moveset truly expands. With the newly formed wings, we can give moves like Tailwind, Aerial Ace, Fly, Sky Attack, Gust, Wing Attack, and Brave Bird. The added stinger would give us access to moves like Fell Stinger, Pin Missile, Poison Sting, and Acupressure. Its better mobility will justify moves like Quiver Dance, Silver Wind, Skitter Smack, Quick Attack, Pursuit, Agility, and Double Team. And with Kiru Giru developing multiple eyes when he reaches the Imalgo stage, moves like Laser Focus, Foresight, Lock On, Mean Look, Scary Face, and maybe Fake Tears and Teary Look for some cool status effect moves. And for some miscellaneous moves for a bit of type variety, we can include moves like Night Slash, Steel Wing, Giga Impact, Reversal, Omnimus Wind, and Rock Smash. Now Imalgo is a very aggressive creature, focusing on moves that recklessly attack the opponent with powerful strikes, while at the same time having moves to focus on ability to outspeed the opponent. Imalgo is more of a sweeper trying to take down an opponent as fast as possible, potentially hurting itself in the process. But with the branched evolution of Pupacite, none of Imalgo's moves would really work, and most of Pupa's moves won't even work, although with the exception of moves like Harden, Rest, and Curse. But the unique form of Pupacite would get access to a whole new unique pool of possible moves. With the whole gimmick of dropping spores in its boss fight, moves like Cotton Guard, Cotton Spore, Pollen Puff, Rage Powder, Spore, Sleep Powder, Stun Powder, Poison Powder would work perfectly for Pupacite, and I guess other moves like maybe Bullet Seed and Leafage, if we're stretching the whole definition of pollen or spores. And with the whole parasitic gimmick of draining health from a host, we can justify some life-absorbing moves. Absorb, Giga Drain, Leech Seed, Synthesis, Strength Sap, and Ingrain would work perfectly. And speaking of Ingrain, Vine-like moves would also perfectly fit Pupacite. So the Vines would give access to moves like Grass Knot, Vine Whip, Power Whip, Bind, Constrict, and Wrap, as well as other moves like Tickle and Ring Out, as well as a couple of supportive moves like Stockpile for Swallow and Growth. And finally, Infestation, to pay tribute to the whole idea of being infested with vines. Pupacite focuses on more grass-type moves, since that's the whole gimmick of Pupacite being a bug infected by parasitic vines, with more of a focus on moves that cripple the opponent and sustain itself, basically stalling out the opponent for a win, keeping itself alive while slowly chipping away at the opponent, which is a cool counterpart to Imalgo's playstyle. Moving on to abilities, Kiru Giru and Pupa would have Shield Dust as their primary ability, where it protects the Pokemon from secondary effects of moves, and Shed Skin, which helps the Pokemon recover from status elements. These two abilities are pretty standard grub bug type abilities that a lot of early stage bug Pokemon have, and there really is no reason to give these two creatures a hidden ability. For Imalgo though, developing multiple eyes, I feel like multiple eye-like abilities would make sense for the creature. Compound Eyes as a primary ability would boost the accuracy of the Pokemon's moves, and Sniper for a secondary ability to boost the power of critical hits, although for a cool hidden ability, I think Tinted Lenses would be the best choice, as it doubles the power of not very effective moves. These three abilities would complement Kiru Giru's more aggressive move pool. For Pupacite though, Pupacite Spores would make Effect Spore a good choice for a primary ability, as making contact with the Pokemon would release spores that would either cause sleep, poison, or paralysis, which fits with Pupacite's whole gimmick. A neat secondary ability though, I think, would be Regenerator, as it would allow the Pokemon to heal itself a bit when it's switched out of battle. And for a hidden ability, I want to introduce a whole new ability exclusive to Pupacite, Trailing Plants. Coming in contact with this Pokemon will lower the opponent's speed by 1, as it is now ensnared and entangled by loose vines. I know, it's basically just a rename of the ability Gooey, but I think it makes a lot of sense for Pupacite. And as you can see, Pupacite's abilities work pretty well with how Pupacite's move pool is more focused on stalling and limiting the opponent, whether it's healing itself or causing some debuffs to the opponent. Now of course, we gotta move on to the stat layout. Kiru Giru is a first stage Pokemon, so his stats aren't gonna be anything too special. So here we go. 40 HP, 45 attack, 69 defense, 45 special attack, 60 special defense, 41 speed, with a total of 300 base stat total. Basic stat distribution with a slight focus on defense to reflect how the Kiru Giru's block Samus's path in-game. For Pupa stats, we have this: 47 HP, 60 attack, 100 defense, 55 special attack, 93 special defense, 20 speed, with a stat total of 390. Pupa would lose speed due to the Cocoon losing the ability to actually move around, but its defense rises significantly. For Imalgo stats, we have 63 HP, 115 attack, 50 defense, 70 special attack, 45 special defense, 110 speed, with a grand total of 453 base stat total. Kiru Giru gets a huge boost in speed with his newly developed wings, and attack due to his stinger, but his defense drops due to shedding his protective cocoon. Pupacite though would take a different approach with its stat distribution, with his stats being 79 HP, 51 attack, 90 defense, 110 special attack, 80 special defense, and 20 speed, with a stat total of 430. Pupacite focuses on special attack and defense, but it isn't going to be able to move around that much, which is why it still has pretty terrible speed, because it's basically a trapped bug. Pupacite and Imalgo are both end-stage evolutions, and their stats are basically opposites of each other. Imalgo's stats are more focused on speed and attack to sweep its opponents, while Pupacite focuses on special attack and defense to stall out the opponent. But Imalgo has a higher base stat total because it was able to naturally mature through its natural evolution, as opposed to the parasitic Pupacyte having the vines leech life from its host. And I love how Pupacyte and Emolgo's moves, stats, and abilities are kind of opposites of each other. Emolgo is a much more aggressive and offensive Pokemon, with its move pool more focused on attack, its abilities more focused on hitting hard, and its stats more focused on just speed and aggression, while Pupacytes are more focused on just defending itself and stalling an opponent, with much more supportive moves, much more supportive abilities, and its stat total reflecting more of a defensive build, meaning that if a player were to catch a Kiru Giru, they have an option to pick two completely different branches of playstyle. Pick the hard-hitting and fast bug, or the much more defensively slow and bulky wall, which I genuinely do love a lot. But with that being said, let's move on to some miscellaneous information. For the shinies of Kiru Giru, Pupa, and Pupacyte, I thought it'd be pretty cool to change their nice natural green color to more of a weird sky blue shade of blue, to represent the in-game sprite of Kiru Giru turning blue when it gets damaged. For Emolgo though, the purple bug would turn red to, again, represent the in-game sprite getting damaged. Kiru Giru would be found in a forest-like environment, preferably near a super humid or hot environment to reflect Norfair, similar to the forest found on Mount Chimney in Hoenn, or maybe inside a tunnel in Mount Chimney, one of the two areas. When it comes to the names of Kiru Giru and its evolutions, it's a bit weird, but let me explain. Kiru Giru is the official name given to both the grub and adult stage of the insect, but since the adult form has specifically been referred to as Emolgo by Sakamoto, letting the grub get the name of Kiru Giru and the adult being named Emolgo works out pretty well. And since Emolgo is the scientific word for an adult insect, using the scientific word pupa to name the cocoon fits that motif. And Pupacyte is just a mix of the word pupa and parasite, which isn't really too clever in my end, but it works. And finally, for the branched evolution requirements, I've mentioned having a Carnivine on your team with Pupacyte to trigger the evolution, since Carnivine is basically a carnivorous vine. And it's not like we're ever going to make a Poketroid specifically for carnivorous vines found in Norfair. At least I don't think so. Well... But I like the whole idea of making it specifically Carnivine to further the connections between Pokemon and Metroid. But if this concept is a bit too extreme, I guess leveling up Kiru Giru near a Mossy Stone would be a good alternative. Gives the Mossy Stone, you know, more of an excuse to exist in game. And I guess that would work. I mean, it's not like you need a Shelder to evolve Slowbro to Slowking, so I guess you don't need the Carnivine to evolve Kiru Giru to Pupacyte. Also, if not Carnivine, I guess Tangela or Tanglegrowth, since they're also basically just vines. But I much prefer the Carnivine requirement since it's much more unique and fun than just having it level up near a Mossy Stone. And with that, I think this wraps up Kiru Giru's Poketroid. But of course, what do you guys think? Did you enjoy this video? Did you like some of the more unique and wacky things I did for this episode, like giving Kiru Giru a branched evolution or giving Pupacyte a completely unique ability? And if there's some things you'd change in this episode, feel free to tell me, like maybe you think Emolgo would have been Flying Dark, or Pupacyte would have been Grass Poison, or even remove Pupa from the evolutionary branch. Whatever you feel free to tell me. Seeing other people's perspectives and ideas gives me a better understanding and handling over how I should tackle future creatures in Poketroid, so I really would appreciate it. And of course, if you have other requests and opinions you want to see added for Poketroid, like certain bosses or enemies for the episode, or maybe you want to see other details like maybe egg groups, gender ratios, EV points, feel free to tell me. Also, look at this! I made the Pupa, Pupacyte, Kiru Giru, and Emolgo drawings for this episode. I know it's not that much, but I'm happy with it. It's the first time I've actually done this for this channel, which I'm super excited. I want to make more like custom made like art and drawings and stuff like that for the channel to make it more unique to my style and my identity as a YouTuber and that sort of stuff. Sure, I'm not the best at drawing, but with enough time and practice and hopefully support, I'll hopefully be able to develop my drawing skills to make it much more professional looking, which I'm super excited for. Although not gonna lie though, the Emolgo drawing actually is pretty great. I'm super happy with how that one turned out. Now of course, if you like this video and you want to see more Metroid content, feel free to click on the video above. It's a video where I explain Samus's gunship, talking about all her different gunships she used throughout the games and talk about why she changes them throughout each game. And if you're looking for more specifically Poketroid stuff, there's an entire playlist where we talk about a bunch of other creatures from Poketroid. Kraid, Ridley, Crocomire, Zbezians, Dragon, Phantoon, the Metroids themselves. We've already covered a lot, so I hope you check that out. And with that being said, I'm the Metroid Trainer. I hope you like, favorite, subscribe, stick around for next time, and I'll be catching you later.